Scales, a very important fundamental that we have to be looking at in our formal studies of piano, because it really is a technical builder. When you start playing when you start getting around the piano, you want to have the facility to be able to move your hands around. So these are muscles that have to be strengthened, and what scales are going to provide. They'll also be used in improvisation. Chords will be built off, and there's so many aspects. We're looking at all the white key scales now, B flat and E flat too. So let's take a good look at those flat key scales, the more recent scales. Let's start with there, okay? And you're going to be looking at them with first step one with our traditional, what I refer to as whole note pattern. Hold note, okay? And then we can go into step two, where you can do varied notes from the scale each time you go up and each time you can, come down. It's really a wonderful way to look at the scales and get deeper into what the notes are within the scale. And we're focusing now on just the scales with the right hand, with left hand, a little bit of support of directing it to notes within the scale. Okay, here we go. The E flat scale. Remember, your thumb is going to always be pivoting on the E or the F or the B or the C. In this case, is always pivoting. Thumb. Okay, so that's a testing point. Your thumb has to be hitting E to F or B to C on all black key scales. Okay. Now let's go to the B flat scale. And try to keep this pattern here under the same shape, because it will start beginning to feel similar, okay? You don't want to go C, A, F, G, even though it still works. Try to keep it under one hand, okay? All right? Now, the F scale has a kind of unusual fingering. Now, I'm assuming you're going to go through all keys here, okay? Right up to this E flat. It's very, very important. Get them down first with the set hold note patterns like we just did. Then go off to this same application as that, but what you're going to do is your left hand is going to have the choice to pick any note within the scale. Okay, any note you want to do. Okay, as long as you start with the one you're doing and end with the one you're doing, it will all come together. Okay, watch this. Okay, let's take the E flat scale. Hit it down there as I went right up the scale. Don't worry about the fingering, just grab the notes. Now I'm going to jump around within the scale notes here, and it's harder because you really have to know what notes are in the scale, okay? Isn't that nice? So you can kind of move around, and you can see clearly how the different notes of the scales will be brought out into your focus. By you looking out and having to assign a left hand from the scale, it's really, really important, to really know the scale. I mean, in this case, you'll know that D note is in the E flat scale, and that C is, and that B flat and A flat and G. You'll start becoming familiar. More people will practice scales, and they sit down, they get all these scales, and they sit down, they get them all real quick and fancy and fast. With a lot of, and it becomes very machine-like. What we're doing here is really having you think when you play the scale. When you're playing that scale up, let's see, where are we? Then you got to think about another left-hand note. It's really kind of cool. It's a fun little exercise to really get you tuned into the scale and feeling part of it and really understand it. And over and above that, it's going to give you the technical elements here. Try to keep the scales very, very smooth, especially where the thumbs are going under, and then in the transition points between hands, you want to have these things very smooth. So hold on to those. Don't be bouncing it. Keep it nice and smooth. So you want to keep these smooth. What I don't want to hear is boom, boom, doo, doo, doo. You don't want to hear the breaks when your thumbs are going under. You want to keep that really smooth so it sounds all like one. to hear any kind of transition points where thumbs are going under and all that, or third finger's going over. So, work on these scales. There's huge amounts of benefit. I know it's a fundamental aspect of playing. It's not as musical. We're trying to make this as musical as we can playing scales. And I think you'll find by digging into this left hand, what I refer to as counterpoint application on step 2, is really pretty, because then it really gives you almost like you're playing tunes, you know. And later on, I'll show you how you can actually use scales in more of an improvisational setting against patterns and chords and things. It's really pretty neat. But right now, we want to become very tuned in. When you see an E-flat scale, as a result of doing this left hand hold notes and left hand counterpoint selections, you're really going to know the notes. If I say what are the notes in an E-flat scale, you want to know the A-flat, the B-flat, the F, the C, the D. They're all in those, you know, all those notes remain in that scale. That's what we're after this lesson, okay? Enjoy it, respect it, because it's something that's, I think, if you don't see the value right now, you surely will very, very soon, if not already, okay? All right, keep up the good work with this, and give it the time needed. It's very important.